Texans get a big W, but where do they sit among the rest of the league? Let's look at the playoff picture. Let's hear from DeMeco Ryans what he has to say about it. And is he following the Patriot way? The answer may surprise you. Let's go inside the locker room.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the locker room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey. Locker room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk. Yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize every angle's what we really do. We the source. We the pulse of the city too. Landlocked. Got the game in the headlock.
CJ Stroud getting all kinds of national love. The Texans sitting at 4-4 with a lot of company and a big game awaiting. Some big news today we'll get to a little bit later on. It is the locker room, number one source for Texans daily digital content. We'll also hear from DeMeco Ryans. If you want to get the pulse of the Houston Texans, you've come to the right place. You can hear me Monday through Friday, 10 to 2 Central on Sports Radio 610 and the Odyssey app. We have exclusive interviews with players. We're on top of it. We got you in the mix. So be sure to subscribe, like, right along for the best Texans digital content, as well as the best radio content on the Odyssey app and on Sports Radio 610. So here is the layout. And we do this after the Monday night game every week. The Texans' point of view, where they sit in the big scheme of things. Let's start with the overall outlook of the NFL. And this is how I always start it off. The NFL through 9 weeks, we have 15 teams with a winning record. We have 3 teams at 500. Before that Monday night game, it was 1, but the Chargers improve to 4-4. The Jets fall to 4-4. And we have 14 teams with a losing record. The Texans are in an interesting cluster right now, and they actually play a lot of these. They play a lot of these teams that they're in the cluster with. Right now, the Texans, Jets, and Chargers are sitting at 4-4. Texans are actually going to get a crack at the Jets. If you're looking at the Jets, I just don't see how you take that team serious. I think it's kind of a miracle that they're sitting at 4-4. There's no ceiling there. The future doesn't look great. It's actually kind of hilarious that they played without Aaron Rodgers, because it almost seems like a guy who was about to turn 40, who didn't really have a great year last year, that they only traded a second-round pick for. It almost feels like he's become like some sort of savior, to where next year they're going to go all in on 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers coming off the Achilles. And really, they're just on a mediocre treadmill right now. This team reminds me right now of the Texans teams with Brian Hoyer, the Texans teams with Brock Osweiler, although I think the Jets would kill for Brock Osweiler at this point, watching Zach Wilson play, and the Texans teams with Ryan Fitzpatrick. You sit there and you tell yourself, they're 4-3. Oh, maybe they can get to 9. Maybe they can get to playoffs. There's no chance of them winning in the playoffs. It's kind of a painful thing to watch. No real bright future. Salute to Robert Saleh for doing what he can, but the Jets, they just seem kind of like a blah type of squad. You have Buffalo sitting at 5-4. Look, I don't know what the hell to make of Buffalo. Do I think the Texans would beat Buffalo in a game? No. Not really. Not this year. But it just seems like Buffalo for the last few years has been one of those teams where we talk about, dark horse Super Bowl team, and is this finally going to be the year? And the Buffalo Bills right now are just kind of there. It's actually kind of weird that they're even in the mix with the Texans. Although yesterday they pushed Cincinnati a little bit. We'll get to Cincinnati in a second. Had the Kincaid fumble, but that just seems like kind of the MO with Buffalo. They just don't know really how to finish games as well as they should for how long they've been at this level. Now their defense is effed up. And I know it's easy for, if you don't really follow them, it's easy to question them like I just did, but their defense is really effed up. But Buffalo, if you ask me, is Buffalo at a higher level than the Texans right now, I would say yes. Then we get to the 5-3 teams, and this is where it gets interesting. Pittsburgh's at 5-3, no idea how. Texans actually kind of smoked them. It's going to get a lot tougher for them because their division is good. Every division and every team in the AFC North is in the playoff picture right now. Cleveland's sitting at 5-3. Deshaun's back. Who knows what you're going to get with them? You're going to get an elite defense. We know that. Can still run the ball despite not having Nick Chubb. And then the Bengals. Bengals a little bit more healthy than they were to start the season. Do I expect the Texans to beat the Bengals on Sunday? Probably not, but that's why this last win was so big, because you could set yourself up to where if you lose to the Bengals, then you're a win over the Arizona Cardinals away from being 5-5 with a very, very intriguing final few games ahead for the Texans. And we'll get to those in a sec. It is the Locker Room. Be sure to subscribe, like, right along. Likes much appreciated. But let's kind of look at some news with the Texans before we hear from DeMeco Ryans and what he had to say after the Texans dub and where they're at. He kind of went Patriot way, which I actually kind of support. I'll explain it in a sec. The big thing to look for if you're a Texans fan right now is the injury report on Wednesday. It has potential to be a crowded area. And I think the significance is going to come to play as well. We've already seen this team the first 4 weeks of the season go without Cam Johnston, the punter, and it sucked. I mean, I know that you normally, you don't sit there and really preach the importance of a punter until he's gone. But I don't know that the Texans are in as good of a position right now without Cam Johnston. I don't know that they would have been able to go about their business the same way they did without him, but they had to go 4 weeks without him. And now we got to see how bad it is for Ka'imi Fairbairn. I think he's getting scanned. He's getting looked at. I was in the locker room yesterday, not this locker room, team locker room. He was walking around, which doesn't say a ton. I didn't expect him to be on crutches or anything. But if they have to go without Ka'imi Fairbairn, that could be a big thing, because kickers can be very, very hard to find. Now, do they bring in that Bates kid that they had here from Tomball that kicked at Arkansas that they had here at camp? I don't know. I don't know what the hell they'll do, but who knows how long they'll be without him. Dare is not going to be a guy that we see kicking on a normal Sunday. I don't even know if we see him active if you have Dameon Pierce back. I know Will Anderson's being brought up. He was at the Rockets game. I don't know that means much, but I don't know how serious the Will Anderson or injury was. Saw him get a little bit roughed up, but I don't anticipate it being serious, but I'm not a doctor. So again, the injury report on Wednesday, tomorrow, we won't know anything, but on Wednesday, that injury report has potential to be crowded, and it might break the internet. So keep an eye on that. Also, on the other side of things, Cincinnati, Jamar Chase has an injured back. His status is in question on Sunday, which would be a huge break for the Texans, perhaps the biggest break possible, because we saw Mike Evans kind of get loose the other day. We've seen some opposing receivers get loose. I like the job that Steven Nelson's doing. I like the way he fights. I like his heart and all that type of stuff. But, I mean, T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, especially with Stingley out, although I don't know what the hell that means. I don't even know what Stingley's doing. I think it's been 57 days since we've seen him. Also, the safeties, who knows what's up with MJ Stewart. Jimmy Ward's got another soft tissue issue. I'm expecting the worst on that for Jimmy. But if you could get a much needed break where Jamar Chase, who fell on his back very hard, if he's out, then that would be a big favor. And I do wonder if Cincinnati's looking at the Texans and saying, you know what, we can maybe let Jamar Chase rest and figure some stuff out. It would be a much needed break for the Texans to where, you can kind of focus on T. Higgins, mix in some of the other guys and play without having to see Jamar Chase out there. So that could be a break. That's something else to look to on Wednesday. You have the Texans injury report. You have the Jamar Chase situation. In Face On says they will sign a kicker before he plays Cincy. Come on now. No kidding. Yeah, that's honestly like no duh, dude. Like, but he might not be good. That's the point. Like, you think all kickers are the same? Some teams are shuffling. Hell, we saw Tennessee last year. They had kicking issues along with the Tannehill injury, kind of kept them out of the playoffs. But they're going to sign a kicker before Cincinnati. No bleep, buddy. Appreciate you for coming through, though. Other news, and this is kind of looking ahead because I'm looking at this as a split. Like if you can lose to Cincinnati and then beat the Cardinals, 5-5 after 10 with 7 remaining, I think that puts you in good position to make some sort of a push. But you could be facing Kyler Murray. Barring a setback, he could be back on the field on Sunday for Arizona. He's also who the Texans are going to face the next week. So you could see Kyler Murray. Don't know how that makes you feel. They have no weapons in Arizona. And quite frankly, I don't even know if they're trying to win at this point. But the Chase injury, keep an eye on that for Wednesday. When their injury report comes out, keep an eye on the Texans injury report to get the magnitude on what's going on with all the guys that they had hurt yesterday, specifically the Kaimi Fairbairn thing. And then Kyler Murray could be coming to town in front of a stadium, which I anticipate will be really loud. By the way, CJ Stroud kind of called out the crowd indirectly. He said exactly what I said yesterday. The crowd was loud on Sunday, but there weren't a lot of people there. I anticipate that to change. I think we saw kind of the end of lost hope for Texans fans. We saw fans leaving with 46 seconds remaining. We didn't see a lot of fans there. I kind of feel like you now have a quarterback that's in that left too much time on the clock conversation, which is good for fans. I don't even blame fans for leaving. I'm not sitting here on my high horse. It did feel like the same old, so I don't blame you. But I anticipate there's the death of fans leaving early and the death of empty stadium. And I think it's the birth of obviously CJ Stroud and all the buzz that he has created. Final 7, and again, you guys know that who come here on the reg, guys who are here right now. This is about the outlook of the Texans. So sometimes we might get ahead of ourselves. JM says Titus Howard's been giving out tickets like crazy on Twitter. Needs to give out some run blocking on Sundays. Maybe start run blocking for those people that he's getting tickets for. That would be nice. But yeah, and we're giving away tickets tomorrow on the show, by the way. I think or maybe next week for Arizona. Texans Ticket Tuesdays, really good seats for you on the show, on the Odyssey app, YouTube, Twitch, all that. Let me explain why I think the next two are important, because Cincinnati is a game you don't expect to win. Arizona is a game that you do expect to win. And if you improve to 5-5, typically 9-8 will someone said and pass blocking. 9-8 someone says you need to move Titus back to tackle. Is it phenomenal? Like I think Titus is good. Like, what is that? Is that going to help your run blocking? I don't really know. But I think it would be like hand out pancake blocks instead of tickets. That would be great. I do wonder though if this Sunday could be the game where the Texans run the ball. A lot of people, I got a lot of smoke and a lot of eye rolls and a lot of comments today on the show, but I think Cincinnati off the top of the dome, I think they're like 27th in the league against the run. Look, I'm not saying the Texans need to transition to a run team. I just think based on what we've seen with with CJ. Obviously, they're a passing team, but I do wonder if, given the fact that, Cincinnati has one of the best quarterbacks in the game, given the fact that maybe you want to at least be able to resemble some sort of run game, I don't know that completely abandoning the run game against Cincy is a good idea, especially with the way that they struggle to stop it. Now, I can already see the comments, hey, no, pass first, pass first. I get it. And I 100% understand why you feel that way. And I'm not sitting here saying, you need to give someone 20 carries, but I do think this is an opportunity to run the rock. KB says they need to blitz Joe Burrow. If you don't have safeties and your corners are kind of, I don't want to say depleted, but you're not going to have Stingley, it's kind of hard to blitz. Kind of the Atlanta situation that we saw when they were really in trouble. So I don't know. And the defense was in trouble at the end of the game. The final 7. So let me just lay this out for you. This is why I say get to 5-5, because if you could finish 4 of your last 7, and that might even be a little bit low, and maybe you hope for better. If you can get to 5-5 in the next 2 weeks, and who knows, maybe we get a pleasant surprise with Cincinnati. That would be great. Jamar Chase not playing would help that out for sure. And you have CJ Stroud, so you feel good. You're only a 7-point underdog, so there's that. I mean, look, there's a lot more hope now than there was before, but 5-5 is where I'm sitting at. You got Denver coming to NRG. Denver's not a great football team. They're not a terrible football team, but they're not a great football team. I know they beat Patrick Mahomes when he was sick. You go to New York to take on the Jets. You've watched that team. That's a dog-butted team. It's kind of a grind, but it's a dog-butted offense. You feel like you have a chance there. You go to Tennessee. You're going to have a little bit more film on Will Levis. Who knows how that is? It's going to be a rivalry game. They're going to be rocking the Oilers jerseys. You host Cleveland. Cleveland, very, very good defense. I would think Cleveland would be like a small favorite in that game, maybe 2 points. We'll see how Deshaun looks the next 1, 2, 3, 4, if he's even playing. That's going to be 6 games, 6 more games for Deshaun to either get it going or continue to struggle. Then you host Tennessee, and then you go to Indy. So if you can get to 5-5 and then you have that 7 in front of you, I think you would feel really good about, potentially getting in the playoffs. 9-8, 10-7 get you in more times than not, especially when you consider that right now the AFC North, a lot of those teams, all those teams are in the mix. They're going to beat up on each other. I think Baltimore is going to beat the crap out of all those other squads. I actually think Cleveland has Baltimore this week, so that kind of starts it off. So those teams are going to kind of level out. Under Tomlin, they're going to fight hard, but they're kind of limited at quarterback. But you just look at it, and let's just look at the final 9 games for the Texans and the quarterback situation. Cincinnati, you give the edge to Burrow. You got to tip the cap. I know we're high on CJ right now, but you got to tip the cap. Arizona, Kyler Murray, you got to give it to CJ. Denver, Russell Wilson, that goes to CJ. Zach Wilson, that might actually go to Davis Mills if Davis Mills were starting, honestly. That's how pathetic that guy is. Tennessee, Will Levis or Tannehill, CJ. Watson, Cleveland, he's hurt. And what we've seen from him, you got to say, you can say wash or whatever, but I'll give it to CJ. And then Gardner Minshew versus CJ. So at the most important position, you have a decent advantage. So you get to 5-5 feeling good. And we'll get more into this Cincinnati game. I know right now I'm kind of dismissing it, but trust me, I want to do what DeMeco Ryans wants to do. I want to do what Bill Belichick wanted to do. Texans kind of adopted that Patriot way today. No, they're not, adopting the offense or anything like that. But you remember Bill Belichick's most famous soundbite when the Patriots were good. On to Cincinnati. That's what DeMeco wanted today. A lot of us are kind of high. You walked into work kind of with the strut, like that guy coming in the barbershop, that gif. DeMeco wants to go on to Cincinnati. And step one is going to be that injury report on Wednesday. Maybe DeMeco will give us an update on that. And then step two, figuring out the game plan, figuring out what they want to do. Cincinnati's beatable. Cincinnati's a better football team than the Texans right now. And they've been at a higher level for a while. Joe Burrow a little bit more healthy. I know CJ looks up to him. A lot of people are actually saying that Burrow and CJ kind of like similar comps, similar styles. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of y'all talking about primetime games. I see Greg talking about flex games. I'll be honest. I'm glad the Texans aren't on primetime this Sunday, and I don't even care if I see them on primetime at all. I anticipate them getting flexed, especially if they are at that 5-5. I'm liking the routine. I'm liking being able to go under the radar. It's been a perfect layout of a schedule for the coach right now. Next year, they're going to have at least 3 primetime games. Like when you have a quarterback that everybody loves that's doing what he's doing, next year they're going to have at least 3 primetime games. You can mark this, you can book this. It won't be any less than 2. I think it's going to be 3 because you do have CJ Stroud. But this year, I like the fact that they haven't played back-to-back home or road games, and they will not until Arizona. And I like the fact that all these games are at noon, and they can get in some sort of routine. I don't know that they're ready for prime time at the moment, although I wouldn't be like nervous, especially given the fact that it would be one of those final 7 games that we just laid out, and those games all appear to be winnable. Appreciate everyone for coming through. It is the Locker Room. Subscribe, like, right along. This is the usual right after Monday Night Football post game or post week wrap up. Let's hear from DeMeco Ryans. Let's hear what he had to say here in the Locker Room.
Saying just how hard he's worked, just perseverance and stuff. What have you seen from him?
Who you say? Okay, come on, buddy. Start off hot. First question, no. All right. Yeah, with Noah, man.
What do you say?
How hard he's worked, just perseverance and stuff. What have you seen from him?
Who you say? Okay, come on, buddy. Start off hot. First question, no. All right. Yeah, with Noah, man, he had a best game of his career. With Noah, man, he's been really consistent since he first got here. Right, OTAs. I mean, just remember all the plays he was making, right? Him and CJ, just all the plays he was making. He was very consistent in what he did in the summer, and it's showing up as well right now in the season. So really proud of Noah. He had a career day, his best game, in the NFL. So proud of what he did for us. And the biggest play, man, just coming out of halftime. I thought that was really huge. We haven't been great starting the second half, and for us to come out of the second half and for Noah and CJ to connect on the play and him to convert into a 75-yard touchdown is huge. Right? We want to be an explosive
Biggest play of the game.
And that's the definition of explosive there. So
Biggest
proud
play
of
of the game.
Noah and what he's done for us.
Biggest play of the game, by the way. Noah actually spoke to the media today. I'm going to go through that. I got it sent to me. I'm going to look at what Noah had to say. I've interviewed Noah. Noah is just a hard-nosed Jersey guy, pizza snob, tough guy. I don't even think he had 45 catches at Ohio State. Earned his way into the NFL as a blocker with the Cowboys. Found his way to get to play more and more offense. Got a chance to start last year. He stepped up this year. He got hurt. You had Tank Dell out. He stepped his game up against the Saints, had some of the biggest plays of that game. You've had Robert Woods out the last couple of weeks. Noah Brown has stepped it up. That play, that 75-yard play, in a situation where you're down double digits, you don't have a kicker, and you're going to have to sustain drives, you're going to have to manufacture drives. The fact that he gave them a one-play drive to where they could kind of breathe and cut the lead to one possession, I think it was the biggest play of the game. I know there were some big plays. I know it's not like going to be one that you look at and say, this is like what we remember from that. But if you go back and look at that with where the situation is, with what they were going to have to do, and what the fact that CJ didn't have his guy, and Tank with the block. Shout out to Tommy for bringing that up. All these receivers like to block their ass off. We've always known that Noah Brown likes to block his ass off, but Nico, Tank, all that, these guys like to block. In this offense, you need to block. And I know that we focus on stats. I do, you do, everyone does, but it's I don't want to say it's the most important thing. I don't think you need to be in a situation where you're like a block first receiver, but a lot of people might look at this roster and say you don't have a number one guy, but when you got a bunch of guys that can rotate making plays the way that Nico, Tank, and Noah have done, and they like to block their ass off, man, give them some props. Let's hear from DeMeco again. Keep going, Coach.
Speaking of being explosive and aggressive, you guys talked all week about wanting to do more. When you guys lost Fairbairn yesterday at halftime, did that almost kind of force you guys to be even more aggressive than what maybe game plan for the second half?
Losing Emi hurt. And you have to be able to adjust. That's what the game is all about. The game plan changed. We had to be more aggressive there. But our guys stepped up and nobody blinked, right? We talked about, hey, we lost our kicker. We got to be more aggressive. Nobody blinked. Everybody just kept fighting. We made some plays down there in the red zone to get in the end zone where we didn't have to worry about kicking field goals. So the offense stepped up big time for us. And, just credit to Dare and him being ready in that situation. The moment wasn't too big for him. He stepped up. Everybody, the kickoffs, all right, we're good. And everybody knows how big the field goal was for us there. So credit to Dare, credit to Frank, our special teams coach, for having them prepared.
What injury updates do you have for us?
We'll see. Yeah, we have a lot going on with injuries. We'll get more of an update as our guys go and, get scans and things from the doctors, and we'll have an update later in the week.
Wednesday.
When the Bucks scored,
Be on the lookout for that Wednesday. Be on the lookout for that injury report. Whoo-wee! Might be nuts.
with however much time, 49 seconds or whatever, a lot of fans left.
46.
They're not used to seeing you guys having the ability to come back and having it, they'd rather beat traffic. To be able to give them some FOMO and give the fans who didn't show up a reason to come next week, how much does that help and what does that mean?
It doesn't mean anything to me, right? If people want to be here, they'll show up, right? And if you want to stay through the entire game, you'll stay. So we just go play our game. We'll play till the clock says 0-0. We love our fans for showing up and being loud. I think that's where our fans really affected the game yesterday for us. Caused some penalties for them on offense, caused some timeouts to be called. So our fans matter. They affect the game. If they're in their stands and they're loud, it affects the game. But we're going to play till the clock says 0-0, no matter who's in the stands.
CJ Stroud did mention with SVP today. He was there with the during Monday Countdown. The crowd was loud, but there weren't any. There weren't as many people butts in seats. So we'll keep an eye on that and see how that goes.
What was one thing now that you watched the tape, one thing that stood out the most about Stroud?
Accuracy.
The accuracy. That was the one thing that stood out with CJ. Just the ball. You see the passes that Tank caught, but just being able to just slow the film down and pause it and see the precision of where those throws were. It's unreal to see how precise he was, the accuracy, ball placement being exactly where it needed to be. It's very impressive.
How rare is not how rare is that? When it comes to accuracy, is that a trait that someone can build on, or is that something that they gotta at the bare minimum have the natural talent to? If they don't, it's kind of like the thing on accuracy.
Yeah, for me, I think accuracy is definitely like something you either have or you don't, right? And
That's a good question by DJ Bieneme. That seems to be a consistent theme in press conferences. But yeah, I remember Mike Leach, the late Mike Leach, once said famously that you can't teach accuracy. You either have it or you don't. You can maybe, get more comfortable and stuff, but you either have it or you don't. It seems like DeMeco, responding to the question to DJ, kind of feels that way as well.
CJ has it. We're thankful that he has it. You can try to coach it as much as you want to, but it has to be that natural right throwing ability, and guys who have that natural ability to throw the football, which CJ has, right? He does a really good job of putting the ball exactly where it needs to be. So proud of the game CJ had. Is one of the best games a rookie quarterback has ever had. So proud of what he's done and proud of just the protection from our offensive line, the tight ends, the backs. Like, you don't throw 470 yards by just being about you. It's about the protection and all the guys around them, the receivers with the precision, with their route running ability. Like, all of that matters. And it's great to see our offense perform the way they did yesterday.
seems like y'all really trust him and y'all let him do things. I think Dalton was talking about him being able to make adjustments on the fly. At what point did it get to y'all where y'all really trust him, let him kind of do his thing out there?
I think trust is earned, and CJ has earned that trust by showing it on the practice field, proving it to his teammates, and you build that trust over time. CJ has built that trust amongst his teammates, amongst the coaching staff, that we can put a little bit more on him. Right? He's still a rookie, still has things to learn and things to grow from each and every week, but he's doing a really good job of just growing throughout the year. So pleased with the growth process.
When you went into halftime, going in, how much of your speech was half coach, half former player?
Coming in at halftime, my message to our guys was just a big smile on my face, and the message is, like, if you want to be a big-time player in this league, you got to step up and close games out like this. It doesn't matter what happened in the first half. Nobody cares. We had a lot of mistakes in the first half, but it's all about how you respond. I feel like our guys responded the right way. We said we weren't coming back in his locker room unless we come back with the win, and the guys responded the right way. No matter what happened, no matter what injury happened, everybody kept fighting to the end. Everybody kept making plays, stepping up for each other, and that's the type of locker room that we have, a group that's tight, that's going to fight for each other.
He didn't even answer how much of it was coach and how much was it the former player. Why does it have to be one or the other? Like, it's kind of his complete package. Like, if DeMeco Ryans decides, hey, I'm going to use this percentage of former player, this percentage of coach, is he DeMeco Ryans? Like, it's all the same. He answered what the thing was, but yeah, it's him. Oh.
With the running game, I feel like Devin did a good job of running the ball, and he made some tough runs for us in there.
Hey, Coach,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of talk about his offense being a lot more aggressive, but it seemed like you guys, of course, they got the second half, but what did you see, from the sideline, just watching Bobby Story just go through, the adjustments in the in-game stuff?
It's normal game. It's normal game stuff. It wasn't anything different. I think from this game, what you saw is just it started, again, I go back to the protection. It started with the protection, giving CJ time to make the throws, right, and our receivers making tough catches, right, and that's where it all goes. It wasn't anything different that we did. We executed better on Sunday. When we execute, that's what it should look like.
Coach, Coach, a few weeks back, you talked about how you liked how your team responded after a loss, and you felt like you could do better after wins in terms of preparation. After a win like yesterday, do you kind of let the momentum kind of blossom into something this week, or do you change up what you've done before in the past this week in your approach?
No, I don't change anything. After I just had a team meeting, I told the guys, hey, congrats, it's over. See, Cincinnati, let's go to work. Like, no, we don't care. Tampa Bay is over, it's done with. Everybody's going to pat you on the back, say you're the best in the world. And as Coach Saban calls it, is rat poison, right? Nobody cares. It's on to the next game. Tampa Bay game is not going to help us win, all right, Cincinnati. So everything, all of our preparation, everything that we're focused on right now is on to Cincinnati.
What's up, Belichick?
The game that Jimmy Horton suggested doing more 2-minute work in practice because a lot of the games have come down to one score. What are your thoughts on the players sort of suggesting that you taking those suggestions into account and adapting your schedule?
It's big time when you get, just the open communication that I have amongst our leadership group. I think that's where we benefited from having those open, and honest dialogue amongst ourselves. And that's where we talked about it. And Jimmy asked for more of the 2-minute situations, and we worked more this week. And it came at the proper time. We needed it, and it showed where all the cards were stacked up against us to go and win that game. And the calm that our guys had in that 2-minute drive, it showed. So happy that we were able to work that more throughout the week this week, and it manifested itself in our game.
Coach, you talked about Cincinnati. Early on this year, they've had some issues with the quarterback waiting for him to get back healthy. Now it seems like they're starting to get a little bit better. What is your early evaluation of them?
I think Cincinnati's playing really good ball right now. Just, defensively, they're playing good. They're attacking the ball, taking it away. Offensively, Joe Burrow has done a great job. Like, he's healthy, has a lot of weapons around him, and he's making great decisions with the football. So an explosive offense, right? Really attacking defense. Guys are going to get after. They fly around. They play ball the right way. Great coaches on both sides of the ball. So it's going to be another tough matchup for us.
Looking at what you have with a guy coming from a minor league, Khalil Davis, and then playing so long at this level, you kind of sense sort of an appreciation because we talked to him. It means a lot to him to be an NFL player after being in the USFL.
Khalil's done a good job. He's improved every week with the things we've asked him to do, and I'm proud of Khalil.
Hey, for real, I'm gonna call a timeout real quick. Salute Khalil Davis, man. Salute Khalil Davis. We kind of got our first glimpse of him, and you started wondering, like, how does this guy fit in? He had a hell of a game yesterday, and he has been doing his thing. So salute to Khalil Davis. We mentioned a lot of people yesterday. I might have mentioned Khalil once or twice. He's not going to be the guy that gets the largest bouquet of flowers, but salute Khalil Davis, man. That dude's grinding his ass off.
Him taking the coaching and seeing it show up on Sundays, right? Small coaching points, he's getting it done. So for him to show up, make a big-time sack for us, he's been playing really well in the run game over the past couple weeks. And the more we give him, the more plays that he's making. So proud of him. And it doesn't matter where you start, right? It's just what do you do with the opportunities that you're given. And Khalil has taken advantage of those opportunities and has made plays for us.
No effing doubt.
Take a few more. Obviously, touchdown passes, but he also had the key block that sprung to go around for the touchdown. How much of Tank's impact, that's after the shock you guys, but obviously the shock. How impressed have you guys been by just Tank's overall ability throughout the season?
Like for me, Tank hasn't impressed me much because it's still the same kid I saw at U of H, right? Those plays he made at U of H, it's the same plays he's making here for us. He was exciting to watch as a college prospect, and it's the same. Standing back watching him on the sideline is still just – it's always impressive. He's an explosive playmaker. He shows up every Sunday. And that's the thing that sticks out. You see the touchdown catches, but for me, it's like what you mentioned. It's the blocking. Like on the one that sprung Noah for the touchdown, it's him stepping in the run game, blocking safeties. You're probably twice his size. It doesn't matter. He's going to step in there. He's going to give you everything he has every single game, and that's what I love about Tank, man. True competitor, right? Always going to step up, make a big play for you, and guys rally around him because he know he's going to provide a spark to our team at any given moment.
Coach, I know that it's CJ.
Stop using him in the run gadget plays. I agree with you, Dennis.
As far as what he did in that game with the drive. Can you just speak to the resiliency of your team being able to push through like that, especially with you all constantly losing players on yesterday?
It's the last drive is just it really shows the persistence from our team. Like what I saw in that last drive was it was just calm, no panic. It's like everybody had this quiet confidence within them that they knew we were going to go down and score, right? And it starts with having faith in your quarterback, right, that he can make it happen. And CJ has built that confidence in our guys since he first got here. And for him to make the plays that he made, the O-line to block the way they block, to give him the protection, the receivers, the route run, it's very, it's very humbling to see guys just put the work in and you see it just all, right, come to life there in that moment. Something that hasn't been done, right, and I think it's 2 times it had been done, since 2000, for a team to drive down there with less than 60 seconds, 2 timeouts, 75-yard, for a touchdown. It's an unbelievable drive right there for our guys. One that I think that's going to be one of those staple moments, right, of this first season that I always remember.
DeMeco, I know you hit on Noah and Tank. Can you just address kind of the impact that Schultz is starting to have now as weeks come out?
Dalton has showed up. The past couple games, Dalton is showing up big time in the passing game. He's made some big catches for us, none bigger than that third down catch he made, and was able to make a guy miss. And I love the way he finished that. Finished physical inbounds, right, imposing on the defenders. I love that about it. And Dalton's getting better each week. And so he's showing up another big game for him as well. We had 3 guys over 100 yards. It's just all around. Right, Noah, Tank, Dalton, Nico, all our receivers, they've done a great job for us.
We'll close with Jonathan, John, and DJ. Piggyback off of DJ's question, how does the leadership work? You have a certain amount of players and they provide suggestions. How does that work?
Yeah, that's amongst us. Yeah.
Next time you're on the 40s, you're on the 25 with 46 seconds left. How much does your success Sunday should help you next time you face dire circumstances like that?
Yeah, that.
By the way, John McClain joining us tomorrow at 11 Central. Always fun. We don't tap out. We don't sit there and make it boring. We take him to task. Best you'll hear John McClain. Screw anything else. Screw any 11 a.m. Tuesdays, 11 a.m. Central, Sports Radio 610 in the Loop. That's when he's at his best. He will be there tomorrow, and it will be entertaining.
That drive definitely helps us and should gives us even more confidence if we are in that position again, knowing that, hey, we've done it before, and hopefully we can do it again if we have to. Hopefully, we don't have to be in those situations and we can close it out before we get there. But I think it just builds that confidence, right? You know you can get it done. And it starts with the belief, again, in your quarterback, knowing that he can drive down and make the plays that you need to make to win those games.
Fans too.
CJ first got here in training camp, you were kind of more coy, kind of calm and things of that nature, not trying to put too much repetition. CJ, but like now when you talk about CJ, you kind of gush and you're always smiling when you talk about it and groups and stuff. So kind of like, what's kind of been that change for you and how you like talk to us about CJ? Because again, before you were kind of more just diplomatic, but now you talk about CJ, sometimes you gush.
And for me, it's everything you get in this league, you have to earn it. Right? For me, it's young rookie quarterback. It's not a lot of expectations or not too many expectations. Don't want to make it too weighty on him, right? Starting out, and you just see how he's grown each and every week. And you see the more and more he can do for us. And again, he's still learning, he's still growing, but the plays that he's able to make, right? You don't win games in this league unless you have a quarterback who can make those type of plays, right? And so he's continued on his way to becoming, right, that guy. But you see the ability that he has. You see the leadership that he has. You see how his teammates, right, just they all believe in him. And that's what I've seen grow from once we drafted him till now. You just see him continue to grow each week. You see him continue to just put confidence in our entire team. And that's what, I started to feel from that, the confidence that he puts in everyone around him.
All right, there you go. That's DeMeco Ryans addressing the media type. Some interesting stuff there. The maturation of CJ Stroud, obviously a big topic. Let's get to the comments. Appreciate you for coming through. It is the locker room post-week wrap here with the Texans. Let's get to Greg asking when will the flex game start? They've already started. There's deadlines, all that. Again, I'm not in any hurry to see them on prime time. I look forward to seeing it next year. Not in any hurry, but do think it might happen, especially if they're able to do what they do. Note to the secondary from KB: when QB is sliding to the ground, not trying to make the tackle, they're down. If you're talking about the Jimmy Ward play with Baker Mayfield, I think that was a crap call. I don't know what that was. Baker Mayfield trips and falls, and then he gets up, and it seems like he's tripping and falling again. So if that's what you're talking about, I disagree completely. I think that was kind of a awkward spot for a DB to be in. Kenneth, any word on Will's injury? Not sure. Do know that he was at the Rockets game today. Let me see if I can pull up this picture of Will at the game. Yeah, there he is right there. Good old Will. Looks pretty happy. He doesn't, I've interviewed him before. Doesn't seem like he's a guy who's going to be that happy if he can't play. Seems to love football. So who knows? But there was Will. He looked pretty happy. He was moving around pretty well from what I hear. Does Nick Caserio get his credit now? This is Manny, Noah Brown, Robert Woods, Dalton Schultz, Jimmy Ward, all free agent signings this year, plus the draft picks. Tank, CJ, Will, Petrie. Sure. I mean, I think him and DeMeco are a good team. I would say that, this year's draft, I would give as much credit to DeMeco as him. I think they work together. Robert Woods, Schultz, Jimmy Ward. I think Jimmy and Woods are kind of DeMeco guys. Woods because of his familiarity with the offensive system. Jimmy because DeMeco literally had a conversation with him about making him a safety if he ever became a head coach. Heard Jimmy talk about that. But yeah, we can give Caserio his credit if that makes you feel good. I don't know what you want, what you wanted. I think they're a good mix. I wonder if we'll get a Juice Scruggs sighting this week. I don't even know what Juice Scruggs will do when he comes back. I'm not sure what that's going to be or what there will be there, but I have no idea what Juice Scruggs is. I don't know what's up with Derek Stingley. Is it midnight yet? No, we're 57 games since he's played a game. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, and the CJ Stroud, you heard Will ask it from Fox 26. Funny to think people missed out on a great winning drive by CJ Stroud. Yes, probably not going to happen. I'm also seeing in the comments people talking about, we need Mike Evans. We need T. Higgins. Did you really watch the Texans this year and say, man, wide receiver is still a top need? Now, I'm not sitting here saying that they have a number one guy. But given the fact that T. Higgins is probably going to demand really high market value, because that's typically how free agency works, with what you have on this team, with what you've seen on this team, the willingness to block along with the ability of specifically, I won't even bring Noah into the mix, but the ability of guys, Tank Dell, who's going to have 3 years remaining on his contract, and Nico, who's going to be on the last year of his next year. What you've seen with them, do you really want to pay top premium dollar for T. Higgins? I like T. Higgins fine, but the Christian Kirk deal is what comes to mind. Even when Jacksonville paid Christian Kirk, they still went out and got Calvin Ridley. Do you think that's smart? Do you think that's money well spent? I actually would rather be in the running back market because I think it's going to be cheap. I think the Texans need to draft a running back whenever, day 2, whatever. And I think they should sign one of these running backs that are coming out because I think the running back's going to have to make the offensive line better. And the running back free agent class is crazy. I think you have Saquon, you have Eckler, you have Derrick Henry, you have Jacobs, you have Tony Pollard, and these guys don't demand a ton of bread. So, I mean, I get it if you think they still need a number one guy. I don't completely disagree with that. But I don't really look at this team and say, wide receiver, whether it's paying Mike Evans or paying T. Higgins, is the main need. That's just me watching this squad from what I see with my own eyes. You might disagree. I don't really see it that way. It could change. There's still a lot of football left, but I just don't paying T. Higgins what he's going to get there. Blue Ash says, obviously, Juice Scruggs is going to be a center. I don't know why you're saying obviously. He was working with higher up on the depth chart at guard than he was center in training camp. I was there. I saw the whole thing. He was a center, but it was I think he was third team center before Questenberry got hurt. And he was playing guard. And quite frankly, you put him at guard, you can move Titus back to tackle. If that's what they want to do. I don't know. I don't know if it's obvious. Maybe to you, maybe you know something I don't. Who knows? Maybe you want to give CJ his fifth center. I don't know. I have no idea. Your guess is as good as mine at that. I have no idea what it is going to be. KB says we didn't appreciate Aaron Foster. I think that's a lie. I don't think that's true. I think that's a big time straw man. No disrespect. I feel like Aaron got a lot of love. Hell of a lot of love. I think in every freaking Houston fantasy league, he was going top 3 for a long time. So that seems like an extreme straw man to me. Appreciate everyone for coming through. Just to reset the main most important things. Wednesday, all eyes on the injury report with the Texans. What's it's going to look like? We'll probably get some news tomorrow on the severity of some of these injuries, specifically Fairbairn. Won't really know the Ward. I don't anticipate until Wednesday. I don't anticipate him practicing, and that's going to be a fingers crossed type of process. But keep an eye on the Fairbairn. We could get some news on that. But the Wednesday injury report is going to be important. Jamar Chase, will he play? Could the Texans get kind of a break with one of the best players in football being out? Keep an eye on that. And, of course, the cluster for the playoff chase, the journey to at least 5-5. I think that's the realistic goal. If you surpass that, I think you should be really, really happy. Be sure to like, as Manny says, it would be much appreciated. Be sure to like, ride along, subscribe, and always remember when it comes to this Texans stuff, we are all in it together. Thanks for coming through the post-week wrap-up. We do this every Monday after Monday Night Football. You can go back and check out the highlight reaction. We'll have stuff going on throughout the week. On to Cincinnati. Patriot Way, alive and well. Not really, but kind of. On to Cincinnati. We're all in it together. Much love.
Landlocked, got the game in the headlock. Localized every time, can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, we top 2 and we not 2. Plugged in daily digital on YouTube. We got taste for days. Opinions to give, we got takeaway.